Thank you very much. You set a very high benchmark for me, giving yourself, leaving 1 minute. Some weeks back, I was walking through a neighborhood in Gatineau, Quebec on my way to a social gathering, and I soon realized that I was lost. It was a new neighborhood. I stopped to take out my directions because I always travel with directions, and looking up to get my bearings, I saw something that caught my attention. It was a flag hanging in a window being used as a curtain. I recognized the design immediately. It was a stylized Canadian flag. It was the centennial symbol. Always pleased to see references to centennial, I had to curb my enthusiasm as my first inclination was to go up to the apartment door, knock, and find out about the flag. Did they know what the flag referenced? Was it a personal memento from Centennial? Had they attended Expo? Instead, I enjoyed the moment, filed it away as one more centennial encounter, and continued on my way. For me, though, these moments speak to the fact that Centennial endures in the minds of Canadians. It was a watershed moment in Canada's history. Canadians marked the 100th anniversary with enthusiasm and pride and participated in extraordinary numbers in many officially organized national events. For example, 2.5 million Canadians visited the Confederation train in 63 communities, and still more visited the Confederation caravan. Hundreds of young Canadians participated in travel exchanges. People attended cultural performances organized through the Festival Canada program. Others turned out to watch the RCMP musical ride, and many others turned out to watch the Armed Forces military tattoo. There was something for everyone. However, even more Canadians took part in local grassroots activities. Encouraged to celebrate Centennial in their own particular fashion, they expressed their national pride in amazing ways. They created Centennial hairdos. They participated in neighborhood beautification projects. They knit Centennial toques. They planned dances. They sponsored sports tournaments. They organized community parades. And they participated in events like the Voyageur Canoe Pageant. Everyone was invited to Centennial. And as if to emphasize the point, the residents of one northern Alberta community constructed a UFO landing pad, just in case. The UFO landing pad survives, and is evidenced by the many stories that people share with me when they learn about my work on Centennial. The Centennial year, too, endures in the minds of a generation of Canadians. The 1960s witnessed considerable social change, and new voices surfaced and contributed to a national dialogue. During this period of transition, Centennial provided an opportunity for Canadians to join together collectively and redefine membership with a larger group. Marveling at the level of public involvement, one participant remarked, "Something intangible happened. All sorts of barriers between people, social and religious, seemed to break away when they started working on Centennial projects." Large-scale events like Centennial can serve as powerful tools of symbol and spectacle that help to focus public attention and generate positive excitement as people celebrate collectively. However, given that they're often designed to ground citizens during periods of social flux or transition, organizers sometimes opt to downplay direct reference to what could be perceived as potentially controversial or provocative issues, as there's often a preoccupation with instilling a sense of shared values and emphasizing common bonds. While Centennial organizers promoted a vision of a unified, strong nation and emphasized what connects us, they also succeeded in creating a space for dialogue and consideration of difference. Moreover, not wanting to promote a formless jumble of individual projects, organizers recognize the value of articulating unifying themes. Believing that the year-long celebration should not focus solely on the past or the political act of confederation, early in the planning stages there was acknowledgement that the official side of the Centennial program should not dominate to the point where grassroots participation was hampered. Success depended in large part on the ability of organizers to plan events and create an atmosphere that invited a broad range of interpretations and created opportunities for involvement. Rather than impose a rigid vision of the what and how of celebration and commemoration, it's key to ensure that events like this support an array of perspectives and approaches. Centennial organizers seem to appreciate this from the beginning and encouraged grassroots activity. Whether it was constructing a UFO landing pad or whether it was racing a bathtub from Nanaimo to Vancouver was of little consequence. The Commission asked only one thing of Canadians, that they do something to commemorate Centennial. The milestone events like this afford an important opportunity for reflection, reconnection, and rededication to a greater sense of purpose. In the case of Centennial, organizers framed an event that led to an examination of what it meant to be Canadian. Acknowledging that they could not control every aspect of the celebration, they decentralized the actual execution of many projects, leaving local committees, the voluntary sector, business, and more often than not, individual citizens to plan events for their respective communities. This was unsettling for some, as there was often concern that the approach could serve to amplify regional loyalties, lead to disagreement and potential conflict, thereby undermining a primary goal of Centennial to reinforce national unity and a sense of shared identity. And there were occasions during Centennial year when Canadians did disagree or share different opinions. However, in retrospect, worries over any perceived risk were not borne out by experience. The government played a strong leadership role, developing and managing a Centennial framework, championing and administering a wealth of official programs, clarifying themes and principles for the celebration, and focusing attention on disseminating and promoting overarching ideals and values like national unity and identity. Centennial served as a platform for Canadians to better understand that there was not one singular, authentic Canadian experience. Rather, there were a myriad of stories and experiences. An inclusive planning process that builds on a strong national framework and incorporates the creativity of non-governmental actors, combined with a genuine effort to balance numerous interests and a willingness to support local grassroots projects. These are lessons we can take from Centennial 67. By applying the principles of inclusion and not designing an overly scripted event, Centennial organizers found a path forward that in many instances served to strengthen existing relationships and help forge new ones. On hand to officiate at the official Christmas Alight ceremony in Simcoe, Ontario, an official from this commission thanked members of the community for all their hard work. He remarked that while there had been many wonderful official projects and programs, it was because of the enthusiasm of communities like Simcoe that Centennial could be considered a success. He observed that it's one thing for governments to organize programs, for people to respond to the programs organized, but the real measure of 67 goes well beyond that to the thousands of projects undertaken by people themselves. In his view, people celebrated not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Centennial continues to generate comment, with people speaking genuinely and compellingly about what was evidently an important time to them. Many people who were children at the time remember Bobby Gimby's song, Canada, please don't ask me to sing it, or recall a family visit to Expo 67. A friend proudly presented me with a Centennial medal he was given as a student in Nanaimo, BC, and one woman who was a teenager at the time fondly recollected participating in the youth exchange program. It was apparent to me that the Centennial had had an impact. There is value in reflecting on this accomplishment, and the 2017 organizers will be well advised to consider this model of inclusive participation.